From Kima Media in Johannesburg, I'm Bimani Baloyi. Today we are joined in our studio by Fatigue Sharks CEO Doug Potter to discuss the company's fatigue monitoring systems and the increased awareness and the need of such systems. Doug, welcome.
Thank you, Bimani.
I understand that Fatigue Sharks has been working on creating awareness on the need for monitoring fatigue for over 5 years now in the country. And now it seems the DMR is now jumped into the wagon, and now people are becoming more aware of this. Take me through how the new legislation by the Department of Minerals and Resources is now making more mining companies aware of the need to monitor fatigue and how it's helping with health and safety measures, putting health and safety measures in place.
Okay, well, I moved to South Africa October of 2009, and right away it seemed like I made friends with the guys from the DMR. From the Kimberley side it was Enid Babasong, and on the Pretoria side it was Anthony Coutinho. And both these guys are just really, really smart on every aspect of fatigue, every aspect of nutrition, wellness, what they actually see as creating a safer environment. And a lot of times, sometimes the DMR is seen as like a people that are trying to shut mines down or do this or anything, but these guys are just trying to keep everybody safe. And so by seeing their guideline and their compliance and how they were actually affected and actually heartfelt by all the accidents that they did have to investigate, they actually started making the guidelines even more stringent. So this year they came up with a mandatory COP, which is on the thing that I showed you earlier. And so now they're actually, the mines, they see fatigue as something they should manage. They're going to have to do risk assessments and come out with a couple options as to how to manage fatigue properly on their mines.
And miners seem to be taking on to this. Mining companies seem to be taking on to the DMRI's, the Department of Mineral Resources compliance code. Is that something that you're seeing? Are you noticing a lot of miners now coming to you for ways of how to implement this and things like that?
Yeah, we have workshops quarterly on how to teach the people how to do this, but they can do it themselves. So they can get guidelines from the DMR that they've actually already been sent, and they can try to put their occupational hygiene and other forces together. But some of the times, if something is new to you and everything, it's just like if I taught you how to do surgery, and I said, I need you to make an incision here. You say, well, I'd feel a lot more comfortable you doing it. So a lot of times they'll resource different experts in the field, and three of the things that the guideline actually states is, and there's many, like it's a heavy document, but that they need to do something predictive. They need to do risk assessments at the actual mines, and then what we liked on our side is, and this is just from a self perspective, is we like PRISM as a predictive risk model to actually, before the people actually got into an accident, it would actually tell when the people were going into a fatigue zone. We also liked ASTID and Scene Machine as a reactive device and everything, that we could see when the guy was steering the machine the wrong way, or the reflection of the camera would actually tell the guy when he's actually trying to fall asleep. So we liked all these in place with like an awareness campaign and some type of education. And some of the education that we had in the past, we just want to make sure that when the people get it, that they get it from an early age. Because if you try to cram a bunch of stuff into somebody like in 30 days, it's just like you, if you're cramming for a test, you're like, oh my God, this is hard. So I think some of the strongest things in the past have been where the mines have started educating children at a young age. It's like outside the mine in their, what was it before you were saying, the lifestyle, what class?
Yes, the life orientation.
The life orientation class. So it's a perfect fit for stuff. So it's what we chose in the Northern Cape. And so we had different books that were put into people's, in their own languages, so Swana, Zulu, Afrikaans, and I know there's 11 indigenous languages here, but when the actual guys grew up actually learning what the words were, what fatigue was, by the time they got to age 18 or 19 and were actually working on the mine, it wasn't much of a transition. It's kind of like if I was to learn about ergonomics or something like that. If I didn't know what the word was, but by the time I had it in school for 20 years, by the time I'm a mine employee, then the awareness is there along with the technologies.
Okay, so I understand that currently you have fatigue centers at mine sites where you're working with, like Anglo you were mentioning right now. Yep. So tell me, what sort of services do you offer at these fatigue centers, and the awarenesses and training? What kind of services do you offer there?
There's only one in the country of South Africa that's a full fatigue center. It's at Kumba Iron Ore, the Columella property. And what happens there is somebody is designated as fatigue. They go in and see a nurse, and there's a 24/7 nurse on shift. They work 8 to 9 hour shifts. And so somebody would come in and get their vital signs taken. They would go from there to a rest center. And so there's these special recliners that they would lay down in and you know, take a 25-minute nap. They would go from that into a light station, kind of like we are in the studio here with the special lights, but it's a type of blue light that actually awakens the system. And they would go from that back to the PRISM system that I was talking about. It also has an alertness test, so the guys can say, okay, there's 5 cats, 1 dog, which of these shapes, you know, are these shapes the same or are they not? But it's a more complex system than that, and it actually measures alertness as well as measures the activity when the guy is out. They go from that to an activity area, so they have a choice of like pool tables or soccer tables, or they can actually get a key and go into the physical gym. They have 3 elliptical trainers and 3 cycle trainers, and they also have a thing of like yoga and aerobics that they can do. They leave that area, they have a nutrition station that has healthy options like yogurt and granola and stuff like that. And then they also have the other options, you know, Coca-Cola, Diet Coke. And so we try to make sure that most of the items are diabetic friendly, and so we're not making the condition worse. So they assume some kind of caffeine or consume some type of caffeine or water before they go into the thing. So by the time they've went through all the 6 stages, they're in a more alert employee going back to their vehicles, and they get home to their family safely.
I understand. Okay, in terms of future plans then, I understand that this fatigue awareness, alertness systems that you have in place only now affect truck drivers and other people that work in the mine. Is there plans to take this underground?
There is. Right now we target all employees, but we're mainly focusing on the 24/7, the shift operators, so that ends up being the haul truck drivers in this. Jonathan Metcalf from Strata, they have some newer technology that before we needed actual line of sight to actually work with anybody. So if we were to take any kind of system underground, whether it would be cell phone based or RFID or whatever the technology was, it would just be line of sight. And we've been dealing with Jonathan from Strata Worldwide lately, and what he has developed is an actual ricochet system. So they can go 1 kilometer deep with our system now. So now we can take PRISM underneath, we can take the other technologies. So technologies that used to just be above ground only, and we needed to try to figure out a different resource. Using the technology from Strata, we're actually, instead of the line of sight, like if you and I see each other, we can talk here, it actually uses a ricochet system, bounces off all the internal openings going down, and every time that they fall to, say, 65%, which basically to most users using Vodacom or MTN is like down to 1 bar, what this system does is once it gets down to that, they have a repeater or like a pickup station, it might be a different word, but once they do that and everything, they stay at a full bar all the way down as far as 1 kilometer right now. So current conditions as of today in South Africa, March 2015, we can go 1 kilometer deep with most of the Wi-Fi technologies using Strata's technology.
Thank you so much, Doug.
Thank you.
That is Fatigue Shark CEO, Doug Potter.